Okay, so we'll just get started here in a minute. Okay. All right. So Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utafpada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvatamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshtarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Shivakshase Yasyasya Hridaye Samvit Tamrasamam Aham Bhaje Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so let's continue with our reading. So does Vishnudev Prabhu usually start off the reading and he reads one verse and then everyone else reads accordingly? How exactly does it work?
So he reads one verse and then we repeat the verse and then we start reading from translation and purport. We
Okay.
take turns and like he administers like who takes how much time.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ॐ
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ॐ
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
ॐ
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवाय
So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 7, Vasudeve
Vasudevaya.
वासुदेवे
Bhagavati
Bhagavati.
भगवती
Bhakti Yogaha
भक्तियोगः
Prayojitaha
प्रयोजितः
Janayati
जनयति
Ashu
आशु
Vairagyam
वैराग्यं
Jnanam
ज्ञानं
Cha
च
Yat
यत्
Ahaitukam
अहैतुकम्
Vasudeve Bhagavati
वासुदेवी भगवती
Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha
भक्तियोगः प्रयोजितः
Janayatyashu Vairagyam
जनयति आशु
Janayati
वैराग्यम्
Jnanam cha yada haitukam
ज्ञानं च यद् अहैतुकम्
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Vasudevaya Bhagavati.
भगवती
Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha
भक्तियोगः प्रयोजितः
Janayatyashu Vairagyam
जनयति आशु वैराग्यम्
Jnanam cha yada haitukam.
ज्ञानं च यद् अहैतुकम्.
Okay, please repeat.
Oh, okay. He doesn't do this, Prabhuji.
Oh, he
But
doesn't do it. Okay. So Vasudeve
Vasudeve
unto Krishna.
unto Krishna.
Bhagavati
Bhagavati
unto the personality of Godhead.
unto the personality of Godhead.
Bhakti Yoga,
Bhakti Yoga,
the contact of devotional service.
contact of devotional service.
Prayojitaha,
Prayojitah,
being applied.
being applied.
Janayati,
Janayati,
thus produce.
thus produce.
Ashu,
Ashu,
very soon.
very soon.
Vairagyam,
Vairagyam,
attachment.
Detachment.
Jnanam,
Jnanam,
knowledge.
knowledge.
Cha,
Cha,
and.
and
Yet,
here
which.
That
the
which.
which.
That which, sorry, yeah. Okay, ahaitukam,
Ahaitukam,
causeless.
causeless.
Translation and Prabhupada by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
So why don't we have, I guess, who's up here? So, yeah, one of you start, please. One of you can start. Sorry, I'm going to
Hare
put
Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Translation. By
Yeah.
rendering devotional service unto personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Purport. Those who consider devotional service to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna to be something like material emotional affairs may argue that in the revealed scriptures, sacrifice, charity, austerity, knowledge, mystic powers, and similar other processes of transcendental realization are recommended. According to them, bhakti or the devotional service of the Lord is meant for those who cannot perform the high grade activities. Generally, it is said that the bhakti cult is meant for the Shudras, Vaishyas, and the less intelligent woman class. But that is not the actual fact. The bhakti cult is the topmost of all transcendental activities, and therefore it is simultaneously sublime and easy. It is sublime for the pure devotees who are serious about getting in contact with the Supreme Lord. And it is easy for the neophytes who are just on the threshold of the house of bhakti. To achieve the contact of Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is a great science, and it is open for all living beings, including the Shudras, Vaishyas, women, and even those lower than the low-born Shudras. So, what to speak of the high-class men like the qualified Brahmanas and the great self-realized kings? The other high grade activities designated as sacrifice, charity, austerity, etc., are all corollary factors following the pure and scientific bhakti cult. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The principles of knowledge and detachment are two important factors on the path of transcendental realization. The whole spiritual process leads to perfect knowledge of everything material and spiritual, and the results of such perfect knowledge are that one becomes detached from material affection and becomes attached to spiritual activities. Becoming detached from material things does not mean becoming inert altogether, as men with a poor fund of knowledge think. Naishkarma means not undertaking activities that will produce good or bad effects. Negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of the non-essentials does not mean negation of the essential. Similarly, detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive form. The bhakti cult is meant for realization of the positive form. When the positive form is realized, the negative forms are automatically eliminated. Therefore, with the development of the bhakti cult, with the application of positive service to the positive form, one naturally becomes detached from inferior things and he becomes attached to superior things. Similarly, the bhakti cult, being the supermost occupation of the living being, leads him out of material sense enjoyment. That is the sign of a pure devotee. He is not a fool, nor is he engaged in the inferior energies, nor does he have material values. This is not possible by dry reasoning. It actually happens by the grace of the Almighty. In conclusion, one who is a pure devotee has all other good qualities, namely knowledge, detachment, etc. But one who has only knowledge or detachment is not necessarily well acquainted with the principles of the bhakti cult. Bhakti is the supermost occupation of the human being. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Dharma svanushtitah pamsam vishwakshena katasuyah notpadayed yatiratim shama eva hi kevalam. So, yep. Please, whoever is next, Vivek, you want to go?
Nihant says he wants to read.
Oh, yeah, Nihant. Okay, do it.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. Yeah.
The occupational activities a man performs according to his own positive position are only so much less labor
So much useless labor
if they do not provoke
attraction
from this message of the personality of Godhead. Purport. There are different occupational activities in terms of man's different conceptions of life. Through the gross materialistic who cannot see anything beyond the gross material body. There is nothing beyond the senses. Therefore, his occupational activities are limited to
Concentrated.
concentrated and extended selfishness. Concentrated selfishness centers around the personal body. This is generally seen among the lower animals. Extended selfishness is manifested in the human society and centers around the family, society, community, nation, and world with a view to gross bodily comfort. Above these gross
Materialists.
materialists are the mental speculators who hover aloft in the mental spheres, and their occupational duties invoke making poetry and philosophy or propagating some
ism
with the same aim of selfishness limited to the
body and the mind.
body and the mind, but above the body and the mind is dormant spirit soul
Whose
whose absence from the body makes the whole
range of
bodily and mental selfishness completely null and void. But less intelligent people have no information of the needs of spirit soul.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Good. Okay. Vivek, you want to try?
Yes, Prabhuji. Because foolish people have no information of the soul and how it is beyond the purview of the body and mind, they are not satisfied in the performance of their occupational duties. The question of the satisfaction of the self is raised herein. The self is beyond the gross body and subtle mind. He is the potent active principle of the body and mind. Without knowing the need of the dormant soul, one cannot be happy simply with emolument of the body and mind. The body and the mind are but superfluous outer coverings of the spirit soul. The spirit soul's need must be fulfilled. Simply by cleansing the cage of the bird, one does not satisfy the bird. One must actually know the needs of the bird himself. The need of the spirit soul is that he wants to get out of the limited sphere of material bondage and fulfill his desire for complete freedom. He wants to get out of the covered walls of the greater universe. He wants to see the free light and the spirit. The complete freedom is achieved when he meets the complete spirit, the personality of Godhead. There is a dormant affection for God within everyone. Spiritual existence is manifested through the gross body and mind in the form of perverted affection for gross and subtle matter. Therefore, we have to engage ourselves in occupational engagements that will evoke our divine consciousness. This is possible only by hearing and chanting the divine activities of the Supreme Lord, and any occupational activity which does not help one to achieve attachment for hearing and chanting the transcendental message of the God is said herein to be simply a waste of time. This is because other occupational duties, whatever ism they may belong to, cannot give liberation to the soul. Even the activities of the Salvationists are considered to be useless because of their failure to pick up the fountainhead of all liberties. The gross materialist can practically see that his material gain is limited only to time and space, either in this world or in the other. Even if he goes up to the Svargaloka, he will find no permanent abode for his hankering soul. The hankering soul must be satisfied by the perfect scientific process of perfect devotional service.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Dharmasya hyapavargasya nartha arthaya upakalpate Nartasya dharmaikantasya kamolabhaya hi smritaha. So who's up next? Who do we have here? What's her name then? Neeraj. Neeraj. Do you think you'd like to read next? I'll share my screen again.
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's go for it.
Translation. All the occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Purport. We have already discussed that pure devotional service to the Lord is automatically followed by perfect knowledge and detachment from material existence. But there are others who consider that all kinds of different occupational engagements, including those of religion, are meant for material gain. The general tendency of any ordinary man in any part of the world is to gain some material profit in exchange for religious or any other occupational service. Even in the Vedic literatures, for all sorts of religious performances, an allurement of material gain is offered, and most people are attracted by such allurements or blessings of religiosity. Why are such so-called men of religion lured by material gain? Because material gain can enable one to fulfill desires, which in turn satisfies sense gratification. This cycle of occupational engagements includes so-called religiosity followed by material gain, and material gain followed by fulfillment of desires. Sense gratification is the general way for all sorts of fully occupied men, but in the statement of Suta Goswami, as per the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is nullified by the present shloka. One should not engage himself in any sort of occupational service for material gain only, nor should material gain be utilized for sense gratification. How material gain should be utilized is described as follows.
Okay. Kamasyanendriya priti labho jivete yavatah. Jivasya tattva jigyasa narto yasya karmabhihi. So let's see, who else do we have here? Narayan, you want to go? No?
Hare Krishna, Pranam. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's do it.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Purport. The completely bewildered material civilization is wrongly directed towards the fulfillment of desires and sense gratification. In such civilization, in all spheres of life, the ultimate end is sense gratification. In politics, social service, altruism, philanthropy, and ultimately in religion or even in salvation, the very same tint of sense gratification is ever increasingly predominant. In the political field, the leaders of men fight with one another to fulfill their personal sense gratification. The voters adore the so-called leaders only when they promise sense gratification. As soon as the voters are dissatisfied in their own sense gratification, they dethrone the leaders. The leaders must always disappoint the voters by not satisfying the problems of life. Even those who are on the path of salvation desire to become one with
I
absolute
think,
truth.
yeah, go on. Yeah, sorry, yeah. Go on.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. Yeah. Even those who are on the path of salvation desire to become one with the absolute truth and desire to commit spiritual suicide for sense gratification. But the Bhagavatam says that one should not live for sense gratification. One should satisfy the senses only in so much as required for self-preservation and not for sense gratification. Because the body is made of senses, which also require a certain amount of satisfaction. There are regulative directions for satisfaction of such senses, but the senses are not meant for unrestricted enjoyment. For example, marriage or the combination of a man with a woman is necessary for progeny, but it is not meant for sense enjoyment. In the absence of voluntary restraint, there is propaganda for family planning, but foolish men do not know that the family planning is automatically executed as soon as there is search about after the absolute truth. Seekers of the absolute truth are never allured by unnecessary engagements in sense gratification because the serious students seeking the absolute truth are always overwhelmed with the work of researching the truth. In every sphere of life, therefore, the ultimate end must be seeking after the absolute truth, and the sort of engagement will make one happy because he will be less engaged in varieties of sense gratification. And what the absolute truth is explained as follows. Hare Krishna.
Anvita tattvavidda sattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabhyate. So I think next up on the list here we have Vedavyas Priya Prabhu. Could you please read this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. Purport. The absolute truth is both subject and object, and there is no qualitative difference there. Therefore, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are qualitatively one and the same. The same substance is realized as impersonal Brahman by the students of Upanishads, as localized Paramatma by the Hiranyagarbhas or yogis, and as Bhagavan by the devotees. In other words, Bhagavan, or personality of Godhead, is the last word of the absolute truth. Paramatma is a partial representation of the personality of Godhead, and impersonal Brahman is the glowing effulgence of the personality of Godhead as the sun rays or to the sun god. Less intelligent students of either of the above schools sometimes argue in favor of their own respective realization, but those who are perfect seers of absolute truth know well that the above three features of the one absolute truth are different perspective views seen from different angles of vision.
So I'm thinking that if we want everyone on the call to read, we only have 7 minutes left, right? So maybe we can have Mohan Madhu read. Is that Mohan? Would you like to read?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu. I'm actually at work. I don't think I'll be able to read, but I'm listening.
All right. So Yash, you want to read?
Yes, Suri. Hare
Go
Krishna.
for it.
As it is explained in the first shloka of the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, the supreme truth is self-sufficient, cognizant, and free from the illusion of relativity.
Relative.
In the relative world, the knower is different from the known. But in the absolute truth, both the knowers and the known are one and the same thing. In the relative world, the knower is the living spirit or superior energy, whereas the known is inert matter or inferior energy. Therefore, there is a duality of inferior and superior energy. Whereas in the absolute realm, both the knowers and the known are of the same superior energy. There are three kinds of energies of the supreme energetic. There is no difference between the energy and energetic. There is energetic, but there is difference of qualities of quality of energies. The absolute realm and living entities are the same superior energy, but the material world is inferior energy. The living being in contact with the inferior energy is illusion, thinking he belongs to the inferior energy. Therefore, there is the sense of relativity in the material world. In the absolute, there is no such sense of difference between knower and the known, and and therefore everything there is absolute.
Okay, then we got, I think, Fanish. Would you like to
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Tashraddhadhanamanayo jnanavairagyuktaya pashyantyatma vichatmanam bhaktya shuta grihitaya.
Yeah. Translation. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. The purport, the absolute truth is realized in full by the process of devotional service to the Lord Vasudeva, or the personality of Godhead, who is the full-fledged absolute truth. Brahman is his transcendental bodily effulgence, and Paramatma is his partial representation. As such, Brahman or Paramatma realization of the absolute truth is but a partial realization. There are four different types of human beings: the karmis, the gnanis, the yogis, and the devotees. The karmis are materialistic, whereas the other three are transcendental. The first class transcendentalists are the devotees who have realized the Supreme Person. The second class transcendentalists are those who have partially realized the plenary portion of the Absolute Person. And the third class transcendentalists are those who have barely realized the spiritual focus of the Absolute Person. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedantic literatures, the Supreme Person is realized by devotional service, which is backed by full knowledge and detachment from material association. We have already discussed the point that devotional service is followed by knowledge and detachment from material association. As Brahman and Paramatma realization are imperfect realizations of the Absolute Truth, so the means of realizing Brahman and Paramatma, that is, the paths of Gnana and Yoga, are also imperfect means of realizing the Absolute Truth. Devotional service, which is based on the foreground of full knowledge combined with detachment from material association and which is fixed by oral reception of the Vedanta Shruti, is the only perfect method by which the seriously inquisitive student can realize the absolute truth. Devotional service is not, therefore, meant for less intelligent class of transcendentalists. There are three classes of devotees, namely first, second, and third class. The third class devotees are the neophytes who have no knowledge and are not detached from material association, but who are simply attracted by a preliminary process of worshipping the deity in the temple, are called material devotees. Material devotees are more attached to the material benefit than transcendental profit. Therefore, one has to make definite progress from the position of material devotional service to the second class devotional position. In the second class position, the devotee can see four principles in the devotional line, namely the personality of Godhead, his devotees, the ignorant and the envious. One has to raise himself at least to the stage of a second class devotee, and thus become eligible to know the absolute truth.
All right, so next we only have 2 minutes, so there is.
Prabhu, can my wife read? She is.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
A third class devotee therefore has to receive the instructions of devotional service from the authoritative sources of Bhagavata. The number one Bhagavata is the established personality of devotee, and the other Bhagavatam is the message of Godhead. The third class devotee therefore has to go to the personality of devotee in order to learn the instructions of devotional service. Such a personality of devotee is not a professional man who earns his livelihood by the business of Bhagavatam. Such a devotee must be representative of Sukadeva Goswami like Suta Goswami and must preach the cult of devotional service for all the around benefit of all people. A neophyte devotee has very little taste for hearing from the authorities. Such a neophyte devotee makes a show of hearing from the professional man to satisfy his senses. This sort of hearing and chanting has spoiled the whole thing. So one should be very careful about the faulty process. The holy messages of Godhead, as inculcated in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Srimad Bhagavatam, are undoubtedly transcendental subjects. But even though they are, so, such transcendental matters are not to be received from the professional man, who spoils them as the serpent spoils milk simply by the touch of his tongue.
Okay, so now I'm thinking there's one more devotee here on this who hasn't read yet. Satyadev Prabhu, would you like to read the last paragraph and that'll be the end of the reading today, or you here? I guess not. What about Priyam? Oh, Satyadev, you're here. Okay, all right. So just please read this and then we'll be
Sure,
done
Prabhu.
with this part, but read this paragraph, please.
Yeah. A sincere devotee must therefore be prepared to hear the Vedic literature like the Upanishads, Vedanta, and other literatures left by previous authorities or Goswamis for the benefit of his progress. Without hearing such literatures, one cannot make actual progress. And without hearing and following the instructions, the show of devotional service becomes worthless and therefore a sort of disturbance in the path of devotional service. Unless, therefore, devotional service is established on the principles of Shruti, Purana, or Pancharatra authorities. The mixture of devotional service should be once be rejected. An unauthorized devotee should never be recognized as a pure devotee. By assimilation of such messages from the Vedic literature, one can see all pervading localized aspect of personality of Godhead within his own self constantly. This is called samadhi.
Amazing, amazing, Jai. That was so ecstatic. Prabhupada made so many amazing points. But I was how does Vishnuchitta Prabhu usually do this? How does it work usually?
After reading, Vishnu Chitra Prabhu will answer the questions, if any, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah. So are there any questions?
I have two, Prabhuji.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, Prabhuji, normally my understanding of the energies is both superior and inferior energy are coming from Krishna.
Yeah.
So our soul is superior energy when it is mixed with this material existence. It is joined with inferior energy, and so Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita mentions it as marginal energy.
Yeah.
When two energies are coming from Krishna, how we are contaminated, Prabhuji? Both are coming from him only, right?
Both are coming from him only. That's true. But you can say that a sweet sound and bad sound can come from the same instrument, right? You can be playing any instrument,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. A person who knows how to play the instrument well, he can, he can make the instrument sound very nice, or he could make the instrument make it sound very bad. That is, it's coming from the same person, but and it's coming from the same instrument. All the things seem to be the same, but one is good and one is not good, or one is pleasant and one is unpleasant. So similarly, same thing with Krishna. Both are coming from Krishna, and then you can
But
see that within something which is infinite will also be within something that's unlimited. Something limited also will have to be there. Otherwise, the unlimited is not really unlimited. So part of unlimited energies will also be limited energies.
okay, so
Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha.
so inferior energy is limited. That is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay,
Inferior
but
energy, actually, we are limited. The Daivi Hesha Gunamai, Krishna's illusory energy, that's not limited also. But we see that it's Krishna being unlimited, Krishna being the fountainhead of everything that exists. Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, everything coming from Krishna. So then even the limited, the unlimited, everything else in the middle, all that comes from Krishna. So living entity, although he belongs to the superior energy in quality, because he's so small in quantity, because he is limited in quantity, he can be influenced by the illusory energy also.
okay, but Krishna is all perfect, right, Prabhuji? Why inferior energy is in a negative way?
So Prabhupada was asked the same question. He was asked it in a more challenging way, where he was asked, if Krishna loves us so much, why did he create Maya? Then Prabhupada answered, Krishna didn't create Maya, you created Maya. It's us, it's our fault. We choose not to, therefore we get influenced by it.
Okay.
You could either be smart and try to live on the land because your body is made of land, or you could be stupid and try to live in the water. Now you can say, Krishna is so nice, why did he make water? I mean, he made water for the aquatics to live in, not for humans to live in. But if you want to be stupid and try to live there, then whose fault is that?
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense, Prabhuji. Thank you. And in the last purport, Prabhupada was mentioning there, someone should not use Bhagavatam for their livelihood.
Yeah.
That's the statement where I was thinking. Normally, when we see like people preach Bhagavatam and take some dakshina and go, is that a mistake, Prabhuji, as well?
No, I mean it's not wrong for a for someone who's reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and someone just gives him a donation. That's out of their own accord, out of their own volition, they're giving it. But Prabhupada is here talking about professional Bhagavatam speakers who basically they do a Bhagavad Sapta and there's a fees and you have to enter for the fees and and they speak in such a way in order to please the audience so they can get more donations.
Yeah, that is what I am saying. Like if a big preacher is there, if we want him to come and preach, he says like, okay, I need this much, then only I'll come.
Completely bogus. It's completely bogus. You take those people, throw shoes on their head or something like that. It's just complete nonsense actually. Yeah, professional, but for example, someone he's a popular clown. He wears saffron and has tilak on, but he's a popular clown. And people invite him to come. And in one place, when they invited him to come, he demanded that he should not be flown business class. He should be flown first class.
Chartered flight, not first class.
Chartered flight, and then he should be given like $20,000 for the speaking engagement, and should also be allowed to raise money for it. Just completely ridiculous. It's just completely crazy, actually. It's yeah. But yeah, if there was some devotee comes and he gives a class and devotees feel fired up and they give a donation, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But if they do the other example that we gave, then that's very bad.
Demanding should not be there. If they give, it's okay. Yeah, got it. That's all. Thank you.
Jai. Okay. Sunil, you have a question?
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Nihant, yeah, tell me.
My question is, what is the difference between Brahman realization and Paramatma realization?
So Brahman realization is a more impersonal realization where you realize that Krishna is there everywhere in the form of his effulgence. But then Paramatma realization is that you see that Krishna is personally present within every atom of the universe and between those atoms. So Brahman realization is to understand that Krishna's effulgence, Krishna's energy is spread everywhere. But Paramatma realization is to have a realization of the localized aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like Srila Prabhupada says, localized aspect. So you can understand that Paramatma is in your heart. Paramatma is in your heart. Paramatma is in the heart of your mom, your dad. Paramatma is in the heart of every living entity that you see. Paramatma is there in every atom. He's there between those atoms. Paramatma is everywhere. So therefore, Krishna is present personally in the form of the Paramatma feature. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Anything else? You can mute your microphone if you want. Anybody has a question? Okay. If nobody has a question, what does Vishnu Prabhu usually do? He's ends the class here?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, Jai, thank you all for reading Srimad Bhagavatam. That was ecstatic. And we will see some of you tomorrow, I guess.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Have the class. And
Yes,
so we'll see you tomorrow. Okay? Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.